The signal under the ice in the year 2241. The world had changed. Earth was no longer a place of war or hunger. Technology had grown. Space stations circled above. Cities stretched high into the sky. But deep below the surface of the world, there were still secrets, old secrets, long forgotten far down in the frozen land of Antarctica. A mining crew was drilling for rare metals. They worked under the orders of the Earth Coalition. It was supposed to be a normal mission, drill, collect, move on, but then something strange happened. A machine stopped on its own. It refused to move forward, not because of ice, but because something harder blocked the way. One of the miners, a man named Rick, called for the commander soon. A special research team arrived, led by a man named Mark. He was quiet, smart, careful with his words. With him were three others, Leah, Tom, and Ray, all of them trained in science and exploration. They reached the drill site. It was cold. The wind howled across the flat ice. The hole was deep. Lights shone inside but reflected back, not off rock, but off something smooth and black. Like metal but older, colder. Mark climbed down first. His boots touched the strange surface. It did not feel like ice or stone. It felt alive. Leah scanned it with her tools. She looked at the screen, then looked again. Her face changed. "This is not Earth material," she whispered. Tom ran more tests. The metal gave off a weak energy, old energy, like a machine in deep sleep. Ray moved his hand across the surface. It suddenly lit up. Lines of blue light raced across the wall. A low hum filled the air, like a whisper from the deep. They looked at each other. No one spoke then. The wall shifted. A crack opened, just wide enough for one person to pass. Mark looked back at his team, then stepped inside. It was dark at first. Then the walls began to glow. Soft blue lights lit a narrow hall. Strange symbols moved along the walls. Not alien, but not modern human either. Leah followed, then Tom and Ray. The tunnel led to a wide chamber, round, silent, and at the center stood a raised platform like a table or control panel. It had the same glowing symbols. The team spread out, recording everything, trying to understand what they were seeing. Mark stood in front of the panel. He saw lines forming shapes, then one of them changed, and a star map appeared, not just of Earth, but of the galaxy. Dots blinked. Lines showed paths between stars. Some were marked, some were crossed out. Tom pointed to a cluster near the edge. "That is not in our maps," he said. Ray looked closer. "It is like someone left us a message from a time we do not know." Leah touched another part of the panel. Suddenly, a burst of light filled the room. The floor beneath them shook. The wall behind them slid open. Inside was another chamber, this one full of tall cylinders, each sealed, each glowing softly. Inside one of them, they saw something shocking. A body, human, but older than any human body should be. It was wearing armor, strange, elegant, and in its hand was a blade made of light. Leah stepped closer. Her scanner beeped. She looked confused. "This person has human DNA. Exactly like ours." Ray asked quietly, "Then who were they? And how long have they been here?" Mark's voice was low. "Long before we learned to fly, long before we built cities, someone was here, someone like us." The lights changed again. A new message appeared on the wall. The symbols shifted into words. They could read it. Said, "We failed once. Do not repeat our mistake. If you find this, do not awaken what sleeps below." They all stood in silence. Mark looked around, his face calm, but his mind was racing. What is buried here? Who are these people? And why did they leave this warning? Leah broke the silence. "I think we found more than a ruin. I think we found our beginning." Far above on the surface, the sky began to shimmer. Satellites picked up strange signals. Old signals not heard for thousands of years. The stars, it seemed, were listening again, and something far away was waking up. To be continued in Part 2. Ask ChatGPT. Said Part 2. 1,000 words. Kaleko or interesting Hunachea or third-person style. Malakani ha or simple basic English. Could use Karna high without dot or underline. ChatGPT said, Part 2. The truth we forgot. From the story, what they found buried beneath Earth changed humanity forever. The cold air above the ice was silent, but deep below, inside the strange underground structure, The air felt heavy, almost alive. Mark stood in front of the glowing wall, his eyes fixed on the strange message. "We failed once. Do not repeat our mistake." Leah moved closer to the sealed body. Her scanner kept beeping. The body was ancient, yet perfect. No decay. No sign of death. Ray walked around the chamber. His boots echoed softly. Each step made the lights above flicker. Tom sat near the panel. He wiped sweat from his forehead. Even in the freezing cold, he felt warm. Something about this place touched the mind. It made thoughts move faster. Memories feel stronger. Leah spoke without looking back. This person has human DNA. But the scanner says they lived over 50,000 years ago. That is not possible. Tom replied. Mark walked toward them. Maybe our history is wrong. Maybe we forgot who we were. They turned toward another chamber, behind a large door. More lights pulsed. Mark touched a symbol near the door. The walls responded. Soft hum. Lights raced, and the door slowly opened inside. They saw carvings, not written words, but pictures. One side showed humans standing on planets, raising their hands, ships behind them, not rockets, but crafts made of light and energy. Another side showed war, dark shapes attacking from space. Humans fighting with glowing weapons. Armies falling, stars burning. Then the last wall showed something strange. Humans standing in front of a circle. Behind them, a large hand reaching toward the circle. Then everything covered in fire. Leah whispered. They were trying to hide something. Something powerful. Tom pointed to a symbol. It glowed brighter than the rest. This means seal or lock. I think this whole place is not a ruin. It is a vault. Ray touched another panel. It showed images, fast, blurry, but powerfully. City floating in the clouds. A machine pulling energy from a star. A giant ship the size of a moon. The images stopped. Then new one appeared. It showed Earth, but not as it is now. Lush green, full of light. Words formed again. We left behind knowledge. We left behind power. Only awaken it when darkness returns. Mark looked at the team. This was not just a hiding place. It was a warning, and maybe a gift. Above them in orbit, a space station picked up the signal from the ice. The operator on duty, a young man named Kyle, stared at the screen. Strange code, unknown origin. He called his commander. "Sir, we have something not natural coming from Antarctica." The commander frowned. "Send it to Central." Back at the vault, Leah found another tunnel, narrow, dark. She followed it. Mark and Ray went with her. Tom stayed behind to study the carvings. At the end of the tunnel, they found another chamber. This one smaller, circular. In the center, a tall crystal, glowing red. Leah scanned it, but the scanner shut down. Mark stepped closer. Voices, whispers, filled his ears. He closed his eyes and saw something, a memory, but not his own. A battle in space. Ships flying, screens, fire. Then a decision, a man like him speaking to a crowd. "We must seal it, or all will be lost." Then silence. Mark opened his eyes. His voice was calm. "This place remembers. It holds their memories. Maybe even their souls." Ray felt a chill. What if we are not meant to find this? Yet Leah looked around. "We already have now. We must choose what to do with it." Back in the first chamber, Tom noticed something new. The sealed body had changed. The armor glowed softly. The hand moved slightly. He stepped back, eyes wide. "Guys, something is happening." The others rushed back. The lights were brighter, the walls pulsing. The sealed person opened their eyes, blue, bright, not human, not alien, something in between. They looked at the team, then spoke in a deep voice. "You are not ready, but you came. The seal is broken." Mark stepped forward. "Who are you?" Figure stood slowly, their voice steady. "I am the last guardian of the old world, and now you must remember who you are." The lights around them burst into color. The ceiling opened, and a beam of light shot into the sky far away across the stars, in the heart of the galaxy. A council of alien leaders saw the signal. One of them stood in fear. "They found it. Earth has awakened." To be continued in Part 3, you said. Part 31,000 words. Kaliko, or interesting Hunachea, or third-person style Malakani, ha, or simple basic English, Kayus Karnahai. Or underline ChatGPT. Side. Part 3, Buried Power Awakens, from the story. What they found buried beneath Earth changed humanity Forever, the ice above cracked, the air around the site became warmer. Lights from the ancient structure lit up the sky like a second sun inside the chamber. Mark stood still, his eyes locked on the figure who had just awakened, the guardian tall strong, his armor glowing. He looked at them like he already knew them. Mark asked again, "What do you mean we must remember?" The guardian turned slowly. He walked to the glowing wall, touched it. The walls came to life, images moved across them. The guardian spoke before. "Your time before your history. Your kind ruled the stars. You were not just survivors. You were the creators. You shaped the galaxies, built wonders, but then pride grew, and with it a great war ray whispered. A war with who?" The guardian looked at him. "With yourselves." He raised his hand. The wall showed people, humans, but different, their eyes brighter, their bodies stronger. Some wore light, some wore shadow. One side believed in order, the other in freedom without limits. And when they clashed, the stars themselves cried. Leah stepped forward. "What happened then?" The guardian's voice was deep. "You lost, but not to your enemies. You lost to your fear. So you chose to forget. You hid your power. You sealed your cities, your minds, and even your blood." Tom looked confused. "Our blood?" The guardian pointed at him. "Your DNA holds the key. A lock, a door, now opening." Suddenly Tom felt dizzy. He dropped to one knee. His skin glowed for a second, then returned to normal. The guardian nodded. "The signal has awakened more than machines." Mark helped Tom up. He felt it too. Something inside was changing, not painful but powerful. The floor rumbled. The chamber shook. They all looked up. Outside, pieces of ice broke off and fell into the sea. A tower began rising, slow, massive, like a giant blade of glass reaching toward the clouds. On the tower, symbols glowed, strange but familiar. In orbit above Earth, the Galactic Council watched from their hidden station. One of the leaders, a thin creature with silver skin, spoke in fear. "Activate the fleet. Do not wait." Another replied, "If the humans remember, it is already too late." Ships began moving. Not just one or two, but hundreds, moving fast toward Earth. Back on the surface, the Earth Coalition received alerts. Satellites picked up incoming objects, unknown ships, hostile patterns. Panic started at command centers. But in Antarctica, Mark and his team had no idea what was coming inside the tower. More doors opened, revealing machines old and silent. But as the guardian walked past, they powered up. One machine floated into the air. Its arms opened, energy flowed through it. Weapons, defense systems, drones built with forgotten tech. Ray stepped back. "Are we supposed to control these?" The guardian nodded. "You will when the time comes." Mark looked around. Everything felt like a dream, but it was real. He could feel it in his bones. Leah stared at one of the drones, then reached out. The drone scanned her, then bowed slightly. She smiled. "It listened to me." Tom looked at his scanner. The readings made no sense. Power levels higher than anything they had seen before. Mark asked the guardian, "Why now? Why does it all wake now?" The guardian looked at the sky. "Because something worse is coming." The chamber lights turned red, warning. Symbols flashed. The ancient system detected the incoming fleet. The guardian raised his hand. The tower responded. Energy shields appeared around it. Drones rose into the sky, ready to defend. Mark heard a sound, not with his ears, but inside his minda. Voice soft, old, full of memory. "Protect what is left. Restore what was lost." He turned to Leah, then to his team. "We need to prepare. This is no longer a secret. This is warfare across the stars." Inside one of the alien ships, a commander looked at Earth's defense rising. He growled, "The humans remember, and now they must be stopped before they rise again." Back on Earth, inside the tower, the team stood in the control room. Priced his hand on the panel. It glowed bright. A map appeared, not just of Earth, but the galaxy. Lines showed ancient routes, lost colonies, old warnings. Mark saw one word glowing. "Hope to be continued in Part 4. You said Part 4, 1,000 words. Kaleko, or interesting Hunachea, or third-person style. Malikani ha, or simple basic English. Ka use karna high dot, or underline. Chat GPT said. Part 4, enemies from the stars. From the story, what they found buried beneath Earth changed humanity forever. The wind above the ice grew stronger. Snow fell in thick waves, but it could not hide. The giant tower now rising from deep beneath the earth. The world watched through cameras and satellites. News spread fast. Everyone wanted to know what was happening in Antarctica. But inside the tower, Mark and his team were not watching the news. They were standing in front of something ancient, something alive, a system built by their forgotten ancestors. Leah pressed her hand on the glowing panel. The tower responded with a low hum. Lights moved across the floor, drones rose higher and strange. Energy waves circled the walls. Tom looked at the screen in front of him. He pointed incoming ships, big ones. Not human. Ray checked another screen. They are fast. And they are not here to talk. The Guardian stood near the center. He did not move. His eyes glowed with calm power. He spoke. The ones who feared you are returning. They know your strength. They remember your past. And they will try to destroy you before you remember. Allmark took a deep breath, then turned to his team. We have to fight. We cannot let them erase us again. Leah nodded. But how? We barely understand this place. The Guardian walked to a raised platform. He placed his hand on it. A beam of light appeared. It scanned everyone in the room. One by one, symbols appeared above their heads. Old symbols from the ancient human language. The tower accepted them. You carry the blood. You carry the key. The system is yours now. The tower began to change. The floor split open, revealing a massive space below. Hundreds of old machines stood waiting, flying crafts, weapons, armor. Ray stepped forward. This is an army. Tom smiled. No, this is a memory, a sleeping one, now awake back in space. The alien fleet reached Earth's orbit. They did not send a message. They powered up their weapons. One of their commanders growled, fire first. Ask nothing. Laser blasts fired, missiles launched. But as they entered the sky above Antarctica, they stopped. The tower's shield turned bright. It absorbed the attack, then sent a shockwave back into the sky. Two alien ships shook. One lost power, another drifted off course inside the tower. Mark felt the energy like a storm in his chest. He stepped onto the platform. The system reacted. Screens appeared. Controls opened. He saw the enemy fleet and more. He saw old satellites waking up, some not built by the current world, but left behind from long ago. Leah joined him. She placed her hand next to his. Together they activated the first layer of defense. Drones flew upward, fast, silent, carrying energy weapons the modern world had never seen. Above, the alien fleet changed shape. They prepared for close battle. But the drones struck first. Bright lines of light filled the sky. Ships exploded. Others broke into pieces. Battle had started. Earth leaders watched in shock. Some thought it was an attack. Others feared it was the end. But a voice came through the tower, spoken in all languages. This is Earth's forgotten defense. We are not your enemy, but we will not kneel. The world listened. Inside the tower, Ray found an old storage room. He stepped inside. His eyes grew wide. He called the others. Mark, Leah, you need to see this. They walked in. What they saw made them silent. Armors built for humans, each with strange light running through it, and beside them, helmets, blades, tools that looked simple but powerful. Leah picked up one armor piece. It wrapped around her hand like it remembered her. Mark placed his hand on a chest plate. It opened, fitted to his body. The armor was light, but strong. He felt faster, stronger. Ray smiled. We're built for more than we ever knew. The Guardian stepped forward. Your world forgot, but your blood remembers. Outside, the alien fleet regrouped. They sent larger ships with stronger shields, but the tower, now fully awake, rose even higher. Its base opened, revealing engines. Old, but still powerful. The tower was not just a building. It was a ship, a massive one, left behind by the first humans, meant to rise only when Earth was in danger again. Mark stood at the front control. The room turned dark, then lit. With a map of the stars, he looked at Earth, then at the enemy ships. He pressed his hand forward. The tower moved. It lifted slowly, breaking the ice around it, then rose above the ground, floating. The air around it bent. Energy circled the engines inside. The team stood ready for the first time in their lives. They did not feel small. They felt like something greater. The past was not lost. It had returned, a choice that changed everything. The tower ship floated above the ice. Its engines glowed like a fire. Rising sun, snow melted in all directions. The sky above was filled with the remains of alien ships. Smoke and light danced between the clouds. Mark stood at the center of the control room. His armor hummed softly. The system around him was alive and it listened only to him and his team. Leah looked at the map in front of her. New ships were coming, bigger, faster. They were not afraid. They were desperate. Tom, read the energy levels. This tower has power, but not enough to fight them all. Ray turned from another panel. So what do we do now? Keep fighting until we fall. The Guardian stood tall at the edge of the room. His voice calm, but heavy. There is another way. Mark turned to him. What way? The Guardian raised his hand. A hidden part of the ship opened. Inside was a round chamber glowing with golden light. This is the last protocol left by the first humans. It can awaken all that was sealed. All memories, all knowledge, but once it is used, there's no going back. Leah stepped forward. What happens after that? Guardian looked into her eyes. Your world will change. The truth will be known. The power will return. But so will the dangers. Mark stood in silence. He looked at his team. Then he looked at Earth. He thought of the people watching, not just from nearby, but from every country, every city. They were waiting, afraid. Confused, he walked toward the chamber. Leah followed, then Ray, then Tom. Inside, the light grew stronger. The system spoke. A voice from the past. Are you ready to remember? Are you ready to rise? Mark placed his hand on the panel. Yes. The light covered them. Memories rushed into their minds. Cities in the sky, ships moving faster than light. Wars, peace, hope, failure. They saw it all, and then they saw something more. The reason for the fall. It was not just war. It was fear, greed, a hunger for power that grew too strong. So the first humans chose to sleep, to seal their gifts, to wait for a time when someone wiser would return. Mark opened his eyes. He looked at his team. We will not repeat their mistake. He touched another symbol, one that showed balance. He added something new to the system, a lock or rule. Only those who choose peace, only those who act with unity, can use the full power. The system accepted his command. Light spread across the world. Old ruins woke up. Machines hidden for thousands of years blinked. And people everywhere saw visions, dreams, memories from the old world. Earth remembering. In space, the alien fleet slowed. Their sensors picked up something they did not understand, a wave of energy they had never seen before. It did not destroy. It revealed their screens filled with images of ancient humans, of battles, of mistakes, and of a choice to end it all and start again. One of the alien commanders, an old warrior with a scar across his face, lowered his weapon. They chose to forget, so they would not become monsters again. He sent a message to all ships: stand down. Back on Earth, the tower slowly returned to the ground, its engines quiet now, but its systems still glowing. Mark stepped outside. The air was clear, the sky calm. News crews arrived. Leaders flew in from every part of the world. Questions poured in. What is this place? What happened here? What do we do now? Mark spoke to them all, his voice strong but calm. This is a part of us, a part we forgot, but now we remember. We must protect it. We must not use it to rule, but to guide. The leaders looked at each other. Some nodded, some stayed silent. But deep down they all knew. The world had changed. Weeks past, the tower became a place of learning. People from all lands came to study too. Understand, the ancient knowledge was not just about weapons. It was about energy, health, balance, and peace. Mark and his team became the first guardians. Not rulers, not kings, but watchers to make sure the past was never repeated. The Guardian, the one who had waited for so long, finally stepped into the light. His mission was complete. He walked into the tower and disappeared into the stars. Night. Mark would sometimes look up and wonder what other secrets the stars held, what other truths were waiting to be found, but he no longer feared them, because now he remembered who they were, not just humans, but the children of the stars, and this time, they would not fall again. The end.